Welcome back, guys, to Reel and Reveal. And so far we've planned, we've shot, and last time we talked about backup, which is very key, and I'll still talk about it. Backup, that you should have a grandfather, father, son backup, just in case something happens. Now, you're from a shoot, Musa.
Okay.
The footage is where?
Is in an SD card.
Is in your SD card.
Yes.
Now that is your son backup.
Okay.
Okay. Then you reach home or your hotel or wherever.
Or your office.
And you copy, or your office. And you copy that footage to your computer.
Yes.
That is your father backup. And then from that computer, still raw data, you copy it to a hard disk, a separate hard disk that you keep separately. Now that is your grandfather backup. Point to note, and this is not the gospel truth, but for me, I normally work from the father backup, because your son backup is what you recorded in the field. It's in the SD card.
So what you mean is when you're going like to do a documentary, when you're going to shoot, have extra cards, so you don't have to keep on formatting.
Exactly.
To reshoot. That's what you mean.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. Then once you finish, always carry, if you can, carry a laptop and a hard disk, so that once you're done shooting, if you still have time where you are, copy that footage from your card to a hard disk and to a laptop.
All right. So I think that now sets us to the subject of the day, which is post-production.
Ooh,
I was waiting
editing for this.
Yeah.
Just see lines passing and things, and
but I don't know why guys fear editing. I don't know why.
No, let me do, then you do the editing. You do the editing. Let me shoot.
Just shoot. Yeah.
Tell me about now the post-production, or from local language, the editing process.
So the editor, just use the analogy of a chef, is this person who is given the ingredients. And the ingredients in this case is known as the media assets. And the media assets consist of like the video footage. It consists of music. It consists of audios and every other material they'll use in their edit. So like a chef, you know, when you're given ingredients, you'll have to go to the kitchen and prepare a meal.
Exactly.
So that's basically what a video editor does. They put together all that to something that can be watched and understood. So when you come to editing, the first thing that you do is you preview the rushes, or you go through that entire footage to understand what is already filmed. That helps you to get the details of what you're going to be working on from there. And there are producers or directors who will give you an editing script. That's where you work from.
Yeah. Okay.
It makes your work a bit
easier.
Actually, I find guys who do something known as logging, whereby they have a clip with details of what that clip is about, which part is best for me to pick from this minute to this minute, just a small description. But that is now captured in the log sheet. So you first begin by planning or reorganizing your footage in folders, so that you have a folder for the interviews, a folder for the cutaways or the B-rolls, a folder for the music we'll use, a folder for the sound effects, and even the drone. Everything is well organized. You know, one of the key features of a good editor is being organized. So if you have everything everywhere, when you begin editing, it becomes like a maze. You intertwine yourself, eventually you will not find things you're looking for.
Very true.
Well, after you have organized your stuff, like in putting them in folders and all that, the next thing is to load that footage into the video editing software. And I know there are so many of them in the market. There are those people who will use Adobe Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro, DaVinci Resolve, and other softwares that they feel comfortable with. But one thing I usually say is there is none superior over the other. It's just about mastering your software and understanding what's where.
Exactly.
So you import your footage into the editing software, and I want to believe you are working from the sun footage, which is in the computer. And then from there now you start doing something known as a rough cut. And a rough cut is purely like now putting a skeleton of a story. Like, how will it flow? This person will say this point, and then it will connect to another person's point, and then this person adds it in this way, so that you have just a rough flow of that particular story. So like from the example you gave of Cheptais, you've gone and done that particular documentary on farmers who are planting trees in that particular place. You may need to have like maybe somebody from an organization introduce that video, what the documentary is about, and then how are they assisting maybe the farmers, and then now the farmers come and talk exactly on how that program has helped them. So that rough cut is what I'm trying to talk about. Just simple interviews put on the timeline, following each other in a particular synchronized manner.
Those are the things we normally see you guys lines going like this, moving like this on the screen.
Yeah,
Just moving,
there are layers,
moving
so
thing.
many layers.
I really don't
You know,
understand.
guys, in photography, when you're editing, it's just Lightroom, adjust, move next, like that. But in video editing is a bit different. You do multi-layer editing. So like the first rough cut, you have those interviews following each other. Then the layer number 2, you now begin adding the cutaways or now the B-rolls, so that now they are supporting the information that is being given in that documentary. So if somebody talks about maybe I've used this fertilizer, it has increased my farm yields, then you show the person in the farm and how the yields have increased. So that, you know, documentaries are believable when you show. Don't just say show.
Exactly.
So now after rough cut, you now begin doing something known as a fine cut. Now you start adding the cutaways across that documentary. And cutaways are very important, because if you just do interview continuously, no cutaway, it will just be one person talking after another. It will be boring. So it's good that you put cutaways.
Awesome. And then there's this part where now somebody's talking and you hear very nice background music. You're like, I want to listen more, because that music is just the bomb. And where do you get that music? How do you choose which music to use in your video?
So now as you do the fine cut, music comes in way later. In fact, music comes after you have put the voice over. Yeah, because now in documentaries, most of them will use a voice over, where somebody records like a scripted kind of a write-up and well researched, just to support what is on the video. So you put the voice over where you need somebody to give more information that is augmenting with what the other talkers have given. So after you have tied in together the dialogue, audio plus the voice over, now you bring in the aspect of music or instrumental, or sometimes the people refer to them as jingles. You know, they, like you asked, there's a particular mood they bring in.
Yes.
And there's a particular feeling that comes in with music, you know. So that particular spicing up is known as audio sweetening, is what now makes the documentary have that particular good flow. So once now you have done the audio sweetening, you have added the music and the sound effects and all that, it's good that you do color correction or color grading, because some documentaries will be shot in flat, whereby there is no color in them. Then you come up and now enhance maybe saturations and colors and all that. So it's good that you do the color correction or the color grading, so that you have a nice look. You know, the authentic look of a video is actually brought out on how best that editor did the color correction or color grading. So that if somebody is overexposed, you reduce the exposure. If he's underexposed, you increase the exposure.
Yes.
If the color richness, the tone of the skin color is not natural, you are able to correct it. You know, another work of the editor is to correct some mistakes that were done in the shooting. So if somebody never did a good white balancing, you'll find maybe the person doesn't have nice look. They are either blue, cold, or they are warm, in orange appearance. So it's good that you do color grading. And I usually do that as the last thing. Because if you do it before, it is quite cumbersome. Then you realize that maybe some clips will not be of use.
Then we normally see your face, then we see your name there. Where do you get those names? The nice titles that you put there, where do you get those from?
So then finally, graphics, which are titles, are very important. Number one, the opening title. What is documentary about? You put that at the very beginning. Sometimes it can be done using graphic design softwares in a very fancy manner, so that it brings out the element of motion in that opening. But it should be very catchy, of course. Then as the people are speaking, who are the talk heads, you'll usually put some label at the bottom of who the person is and their position.
Yes.
That is the one usually referred to as the lower third.
Ah.
So if like you're Washanga Mugo, you write there Washanga Mugo, a farmer in Cheptais. So that is very important, so that as the people watch, they can relate who is that, what is their position. And that is done the first time that person appears. You don't put it at the very end. Immediately they appear, you can put it there.
Yes.
So that anytime you see the face, you can tell, this is Washanga, this is Moses, this is Washanga, this is Moses. And then when you're doing those lower thirds, you also need to align them to the corporate colors of the organization, so that the colors are not off-key.
Yes.
So if their logo like has got some green shades in it, that lower third needs to have some tones of the green.
The green.
Yeah, so that the brand color comes out.
Yeah. So you don't just choose any
don't just choose any. And that is actually, softwares these days are enhanced because of the AI. There are those which are already templates which are already inbuilt in the software. So you just pick and change a few things. And like traditionally before, where you had to do it from scratch, it was quite a lot of work, and they were not as exciting to see as the ones who are done released.
Yes.
Yeah. So those are the considerations. And of course, when you're positioning it, you look at where the person is on the screen. If they are the dead center, maybe you can position it at the bottom. If they are on the left, you can position it on their right side where they are looking towards. Usually it is like proportionally looks nice when it is on that position.
Okay.
And you use something known as the safe margin, so that it is not chopped off out of the screen when you export it. So make sure it's well positioned somewhere. And there are people who make the fonts too big or too small.
You can't even see, you're like,
yeah, very small or too big. Be at least moderate. Make sure the fonts are visible and they are not exaggerated.
Awesome.
And just to add as well, you find there are places or clips where people speak in their mother tongue or a particular language that cannot be understood by the people who are actually watching. It's very important that you translate that. Because imagine maybe an international audience is watching a video and the people are speaking in Swahili. It's good that you put the English translation at the bottom so that they are able to connect with what the person is saying. So that is usually also done at the end. And you put it not in verbatim, in just an understandable language, just somewhere at the bottom in a nice way. And then finally, the end, there are people who did the work. Give credit where it's due.
Oh, yeah.
If you're the camera guy, I'm the editor, you're the producer, you are the director, their hospitality team. At the end, you put the end credits so that as they roll out and the curtains are coming down, the documentary is done, you are able to acknowledge who did what. So finally, once you are done, you export your video. Mostly you'll find it being done in an MP4 format. Sometimes AVI is too big. MP4 is easy to transfer in terms of even putting in Google Drive. So you can export it and share or distribute. So for people who want to put it on their social media platforms, on their YouTube, they can put it there. If they want to take it to the broadcast for TV watching, they will give it out in whichever format they want. But the last thing after you've done all that work, you have balanced your audio, everything is nice, is within the set time and duration, you can now export and distribute to the respective channel where you want now your target audience to go and watch. And basically that's how you are able to edit your work and finally deliver to the client in the set time.
You have really given us insights in terms of doing a documentary. And for me, even as a photographer, I have learned a lot. And I think tomorrow naenda kuanza kurecord documentary. Na kupatia picha upige mimi nifanye documentary. And
you have something to...
That gives us a wrap in terms of doing the documentary, but that doesn't mean that we've come to the end. No. We are coming back now. We are talking about photography, and that's where I love photographers hatujawacha. Hiyo ilikuwa documentary, filming and all that. Now, next series we are talking about photography, the different aspect of photography. And tune here at Real and Reveal, where we keep it real. We are not gatekeepers. We say as it is. What you do with the information is all about you now. And again, we want to give a shout out to Al Kebulan Studios, the guys who have given us this awesome space to come and do our podcast. They've given us sitasema, but yeah, even our stomachs are saying kudos. You want to do your podcast as two people, as one person, come. We'll give the contact details there. We'll leave the contact details there. And their rates are the best in town. So, Alkebulan, thank you guys for doing an awesome job. And guys, keep it here. Remember, subscribe, tune in, as now we talk about photography and the different aspects.